All right, so I know this doesn't look like much. This is a buffet, hutch, whatever you call them, side table that I went and grabbed out of someone's barn. I think they said a relative built it years ago, but I really like the lines of it. It's 3 small drawers and 1 drawer on top, and then this door over here. So it came with a top, but I think I'm gonna have it just like this in my kitchen. I have intention to sand it down, paint it. If I can get the top cleared off enough, I would like to stain the top. Put some legs on it. It's quite high already, but that's okay. I think this is what I'd like to serve our suppers off of, like sideboard. These are the drawers. So these were up in the rafters, so they're in a bit rough shape. The veneer's coming off the front, but these are just a little bit of inlay. So there's 2 drawers, so it's missing a small drawer like this. And then there's this large drawer. Same thing, the veneer's peeling off the front there. And then this is the other door, or the door for here. This is a false door. So I was gonna get some stripper, but there's really, besides the door and drawers, there's really not much paint on it. There's a little bit of paint down here. The lady I got it from said she started to refinish it and kind of gave up because it is in pretty rough shape. But look, there's a, I don't know if I can get this open with one hand. I don't think, oh, maybe. There's a pull-out board as well. Anyway, you know what a board looks like. So I'd like to do this as well, and then it could have an extender for serving. So then this part was on top. That's why that's all scuffed up there. It's all covered in glue and paint and stuff. So this was on top, and this is also in pretty rough shape, but it's intact and it's solid. But I really don't need a giant, I don't have the space. I don't have anything that's pretty to display in here. So I found a picture of myself when I was a kid, and my grandfather had built a windmill outside, like a garden decoration. So I think I'm gonna rip this down and use the wood to build a windmill. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it yet, but I'm gonna try. It's gonna be my project. So it's January right now, so this is a good inside basement project. So I'm gonna start scraping the top of this one and get sanding, and we'll see how it comes out.
Just for reference, this is what the piece looked like when I went and picked it up out of her barn. The first thing I did when I got home was I did separate into the 2 pieces. Then, after I shot this video, I took the peeling veneer off of the front of the drawers and doors. I then began sanding it with 40 grit sandpaper and a palm sander. This is the piece after my first day of sanding. As you can see, I haven't done the detailed sanding in the corners yet. I also didn't sand the one side. Once I started with the palm sander, I realized anywhere there's any white paint on it is actually several layers of paint. It is green and beige, and then several layers of white paint on top. So it was taking an excessively long amount of time to sand it. This is the top. I scraped it with a paint scraper for seemed like several hours, and then went over everything with the 40 grit sandpaper. A lot of the staining on the cutting board came off pretty easily with the sandpaper, and I was able to even out the top quite a bit, but I was worried of it taking stain as there was some really old glue sort of ingrained in the wood. This is a bit better view of the front after that first day of sanding. You can see how persistent that green is. It was very hard to get out of the wood. This is the side I did stain or did sand, and as you can see, the green is really staining the wood. Just to show you how much white was on that other side, it was becoming very difficult to sand off. So I opted to go and get some furniture stripper, and I stripped that side and also the drawers and door.
Main body sanded. This probably took me, I don't know, 10 hours to do. So I chipped all the old paint and glue off the top and just sanded this down as best I could. I only have 100 grit sandpaper, so I just actually picked up some more sandpaper today. I'm gonna do a more fine sand on the top because this is gonna be stained. And I hope it's gonna look okay where it is two-tone. As you can see, that's where the other shelf was. And this had a ton of glue on it. But that's cleared off. You can see over there, that's the primer I'm going to use on the side. The green paint that was on here, it was stain and then green paint, at least one layer, maybe two. And then beige paint, and then probably about 5 layers of white paint on top. So the green really stained the wood. This was like hours of sanding to get it just down to this point. That's why I got the, it's an oil-based stainer. It's supposed to cover any bleed through. So that's what I'm going to do today is I'm going to put a coat of primer on this. I'm just going to use a brush. So not the top, not the pull-out cutting board. And the drawers and the door, I have 2 drawers sanded, and then I have the door and one other drawer to sand. I'm going to do that outside the next clear day because I am tired of all the dust in the basement. And once again, I just picked up some new sanding discs, but I want to try out this primer so it gives me the night to dry. I want to make sure none of this green bleeds through. That'll give me a better idea too on the drawer fronts. The drawer fronts were extremely stubborn with the green bleeding through. I'm assuming they were probably repainted several times. So we'll see how this looks, and I'm going to let this side dry overnight and we'll see how it looks tomorrow. Hopefully nothing pulls through, but overall I think it's looking pretty good. Could use a little bit of a wipe out. I did vacuum everything, but just the dust settling. And I'm noticing over here there's still quite a bit of white paint. I don't think I'm going to paint this part. I'm just going to paint the fronts and leave the inside of the doors and drawers as the timber. But you can see over here, this is going hand sanding. This is with the Dremel. This is with everything. It was so thick here that I can't seem to get it all off, but hopefully the primer will cover that. And then I got a nice yellow, which I know is not everyone's favorite color, but I think it'll look nice and sunny in my dining room, which is a bit boring right now. All right, so I'm going to go over it with I'll show you this side too. This side, the green came off a little bit easier, but still, it still persists. And there is some damage back here, but it's fine. It's not supposed to be a showpiece. It's functional. All right, I'll get to priming and we'll see how it looks.
All right, a lot to unpack in this photo. I didn't take any more pictures until I was near completion. Once I started doing the fun part, I stopped taking pictures. So I did 2 coats of primer on the sides and front. I did a light sand, and then I did 2 coats of the yellow paint. For the top, for the pull-out cutting board, I just used mineral oil. I think I put 2 or 3 light coats on that, and that's all I did for the cutting board. The top I stained in a dark walnut stain. I wanted a darker stain to kind of even out the two-tone coloring of the wood where it had a shelf on top for so long. It also did still have a little bit of glue stuck in there. All right, here you can see kind of how it's starting to come together. I don't have any hardware on yet. I drug this up the stairs by myself, so it got a little bit scuffed up, and I didn't want to have the drawers installed yet, so it would be just a little bit lighter for me. So I have 2 coats of stain on the top. I did a sand, so there's no varathane on this yet either. So I need to add some hinges and some doors and some handles and varathane the top. So my husband here helped me add the hinges and the drawer and door pulls. I had intended on installing 2 drawers and having that top drawer be open. However, the drawer I had was too big for the opening. I was going to cut it down. I actually had it all marked out to cut down on the table saw. And after living with this for a couple days, I decided to have 2 open shelves instead. So here is the top after 2 coats of stain and 4 coats of varathane. You can see that it isn't quite even, but overall it evened out pretty good. And then the pull-out cutting board, just got a couple of layers of mineral oil added.
All right, so here is our finished product with the handles and everything on. So what I'm going to use this for is on top, I'm just going to use it as a serving area for our supper at night. And so this top drawer, I've just been keeping some pot holders in it for hot pot things. Everything's a little off. You have to remember this is quite old. What I've been doing for like my pantry challenge is I just go down every Monday and I kind of collect what canned goods I plan on using. So this is sort of what I plan on using over the next couple days, and it just looks pretty. I didn't nail these down or anything because I still might change how I have those. And then I just decided to keep my potatoes in here. And that's the last of my store-bought potatoes. And then in here, I don't know how well this is going to come up. This is where I am starting my onions. And then I have a whole shelf that I could add things to if I wanted. All right, so there it is. There's my completed project.
I'm really happy how this piece of furniture turned out. It functions perfectly for our family, but it was not free. Although the furniture itself was free, I did put some money into this. So I ended up using 12 sanding discs, so that priced out to $2.40 as I bought them in bulk off Amazon. I did also buy furniture stripper, that was $15.99. I got an eco-friendly one. I would never use it again. I think it was called Citrus Strip. I would definitely not recommend it. It was horrible. Primer, I use 1/10 of a gallon that I had here, and so it was $75 total, but I used $7.50 of it. I bought a paintbrush and a roller from the dollar store for $2.25, which I ended up throwing out afterwards because the primer isn't oil-based, so it was just easier just to buy cheap ones and throw them out. Paint, I bought 1 liter and it was $25. I have probably 3/4 of it left, but I added the whole price because I bought it specifically for this project. The hinge was $5 and handles were $2.75. So my total for this project was $60.89. I believe that's money well spent, and I still do have the top piece of the furniture to refinish, hopefully when it gets a little warmer outside. If you found this interesting, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye now.